Actually.
Drinking with Authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Drinking with Authors. I am your host, Nick Savage, author of books such as the West Side of the Dead series. And this episode, as with every episode, is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications. That is all four of the Horsemen. There are no fifth ones. And joining us tonight is the author of An Expected End and contributor to four of the countless Chicken Soup for the Souls books, Amanda Creasy. Amanda, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking three different things tonight. I'm drinking chocolate milk. That is my dessert. I am also drinking some anise chamomile honey tea, which is just like my evening wind down tea. And it is in my banned books mug. So I picked out this mug especially for this evening chat with you. And then also water, which is my thirst quencher, because I find that the chocolate milk and the tea don't actually quench any thirst. They're just pleasurable.
No, I myself am drinking water because I had a beer earlier today. And in your 40s, one beer is enough. But you said anise chamomile. I'm going to have to convince my wife to buy me some. She won't touch anise, but I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
And you look like a loose leaf tea drinker.
Yes. I have my little diffuser here. Yeah, this is actually tea from a local shop here. I'm just south of Richmond, Virginia, and there's a coffee shop and tea shop here called Rostov's, and this is loose leaf tea from Rostov's. So
very nice. Yes, I'm in Orlando area, and we found a loose leaf tea shop in Tampa. And so if we're too lazy to drive out, depending on traffic, we'll just order it and have it shipped. But if we have the time and the desire to drive, we will go there and just sample teas and stuff. I love tea shops. They're just so much fun.
And they smell so good when you walk in.
Yes.
It's like my favorite thing.
Yes. Do you have a favorite tea?
One of my favorites, and I might be pronouncing this wrong, is Young Hyson. I love that. I recently discovered that. I also like oolong. I like jasmine. Asking me my favorite tea might have been a mistake because I'm just going to go off and talk a lot about teas that I like. But those three are some of my favorites. So
no.
Stop right there.
That's okay. I've never heard of the first one you mentioned. Tastes also change and develop. Sometimes you get hooked on a tea, and this might be, my ADD, but like I'll get hooked on a tea and I'll be like, this is the only tea I'm drinking. And then all of a sudden I'm done with it for like months at a time, and I find another favorite.
Ooh, Duchess Gray. Duchess Gray. I don't know if you've had that.
I've not had Duchess Gray, but
so good.
I have. Are you into breakfast teas at all?
You know what? If it's tea, I'll probably drink it.
Because like I grew up not liking tea because I was like, oh, I don't like English breakfast or Earl Grey. And it was all Lipton stuff. And I'm not saying anything bad about Lipton, the good tea corporation.
They're our sponsor, right?
Yeah, right. Protecting myself from libel lawsuits. I just wasn't a fan growing up. And then like the iced tea, you get in restaurants and stuff like that. But then I was introduced to loose leaf teas and found like Earl Grey lavender or Earl Grey rose are great. And I've been on this Genmai cha kick. And if you've never had Genmai cha, it's brewed with rice and popcorn.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's a light, I think it's a green tea. I don't know. The tea leaves are green, but so are oolong. So I'm like, I don't know.
Popcorn.
And it tastes like it has a hint of popcorn in the taste.
Interesting.
And it is so good and so light to get into it's brewed on like the lower temperatures of the tea spectrum, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And I also love pu'ers, which are like the earthiest, heaviest, muddiest teas you can find.
So you like all ends of the spectrum, everything in between.
Except I'm not an oolong fan.
Oh, really?
I think it's the oolongs I'm not a fan of. My wife would know. She just tells me what I don't like. Because I'll try stuff. Yeah, I'll try stuff and they'll be like, oh, I don't like this. And then my brain will forget it. Because I'm like, oh, I don't like it.
For you. Someone's got to do it.
She keeps track. She's my keeper. I always tell my family if I'm ever dead one day, don't blame her. I probably deserved it.
You probably forgot.
Yeah. I'm like,
eating or drinking.
She's like, I told you so many times. But no, she's wonderful. And she actually helped get me more into tea than I was before we met. So it's just been wonderful. But hey, 5 minutes talking about tea, which is not why you're here.
But tea does pair wonderfully with literature. So it's,
Tea and literature. That is actually going to be my next podcast.
That sounds like a plan.
I'll get to have like a teacup and have my finger out when I drink it and stuff.
That's right.
Your book, though, An Expected End. Tell us about it. I did a little bit of research into it, but I don't want to mess up what I, looked at and stuff like that. But it sounds phenomenal. Make it sound better than I make it sound.
So An Expected End, it's a speculative work of literary fiction. It takes place in the near future. It's set in 2045, so not too distant future. The world is not terribly different from the world that we know and live in today. But through artificial intelligence, people can find out when they are going to die. And finding out when they are going to die has become pretty normalized. It's something everyone does, kind of the way people today all have smartphones. People in 2045 basically all know when they're going to die. And it's kind of just taken for granted that you'll find out. And if you don't find out, you're kind of old-fashioned, backward. You're a little bit of a weirdo. There are people who opt out and don't find out, but everyone's kind of surprised if you haven't found out. It'd be kind of like having a flip phone today. Like people are like, oh,
Okay, so now I'm very intrigued. And this might be a spoiler to tell me about. Does the main character die when they're supposed to?
So I guess that kind of is a spoiler. Do you want me to?
No. Let people read it, because this sounds great. It's kind of technically sci-fi in the sense that there's science that allows us to do things, but it's not like the laser beams and
right. And it doesn't get too much, like for people who like sci-fi, I should say it doesn't get too much into the science of it. It's not very technical. It's much more psychological. It's much more thought-provoking in nature. It's much more philosophical than it is sci-fi in that regard. So if you are a sci-fi lover, this might provoke you into thinking about what the science could be that would go into this. But I, as a writer, do not get deep into what are the technicalities and the scientific know-how that would be required for this type of knowledge or this type of technology.
Like the science is just there to drive the story. You're more focused on the existential, or as you say, philosophical aspects of it.
Correct.
Which sounds fantastic to me. That just sounds like such a book right up my alley and what I'd like to read. I love the books, and I don't want to say it's satire, but the books that have that deeper meaning, you know what I'm saying, that double meaning to, what the book's about and how it relates to the modern life, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that is just so much better. And it sounds like it's going to be a great read. So I am definitely going to check it out. Now, my question for you on that is, how much of your life or what events in your life led you to want to write this story? Because this is not something like a person's just like, oh, I have an idea. There's something that inspired it.
Yeah, I hate to be like, it was just like, oh, and I had an idea. It was, I don't remember. I've just always wondered since I was like 15 or 16. I always had this thought. So I'm very time oriented. I'm very calendar oriented. I always know what the day is and what's happening on the day. And if someone goes, hey, this year, what's November 30th? I can be like, oh, that's a Tuesday. Like I'm very cognizant of time that way. And so as a kid, it always, I don't want to say bothered me. It didn't bother me. I was just kind of fascinated by the fact that you crossed these days in your life every year. And one of them was the day you were going to die some year in your life and you didn't know. So you were only going to get X amount of November 30th and you were only going to get X amount of April 10th and you were only going to get whatever. And one of those days, 1 year in your life would be the last one. And you crossed it every year and you never knew which one it was going to be. And I was always just like, that's so curious. Like, it just was, a curious thought to me that every year I crossed the day I was going to die without knowing it. I knew when my birthday was, and I celebrated that every year, but you would never actually even know your death day because you would die on it. And so you would know it, I guess, in that moment, maybe that you were dying. But then after that, and so but I never had a good way to articulate that or express it. And when I was in grad school, I kind of tried to do it through poetry, but I found that I couldn't do it with the brevity that a poem requires. And then eventually I just realized I needed the length and framework of a novel to explore it. And so in some ways, I guess I was writing this book from the time I was 15 or 16 years old, or I was at least trying to write this book from the time I was 15 or 16 years old, or kind of just mulling this idea over from that time.
No. I definitely understand. I actually pointed at you for something, and now my brain kind of.
Oh, sorry.
No, that is okay. Brevity. It was the brevity thing, which is hysterical. I got my start back in the day. Like all writers, we all start with poetry. We, like every writer, whether it's song lyrics or poetry, this same kind of idea: short, concise, and much like you, I needed more. And everyone was like, write novels. And I spent years doing screenplays that obviously failed. And everyone was like, you need novels. And when I finally was like, all right, I'll try a novel, it's the monster that was calling me, So I'm glad you found it too, because it's the medium that allows people who brevity is not a friend of to, explore the idea. So this novel, An Expected End, and then you have the Chicken Soup for the Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've never read, and I'm too much of a man to read Chicken Soup. I've just never read them. Do they somehow have like a theme that transcends all the chicken soups and an expected end, or are they just completely different?
That's an interesting question. So An Expected End, in some respects, is, a little bit morbid, a little bit dark. It deals a lot with death. But ultimately, it has a somewhat happy, bittersweet ending. It has a somewhat positive message overall, despite, the fact that there are very sad, tragic moments. It is a book about knowing when you're going to die. It's a book about death, but it's also a book about hope and life. The Chicken Soup for the Soul books as a whole, as a genre, the kind of mission of those books in general is hope, and optimism and comfort, chicken soup, comfort food. So all of the books have a different theme. The books that my essays are in, one of them is called The Magic of Dogs. One of them is Life Lessons from the Dog. One of them, the most recent one, is Pets, Pets, Pets. And then another one is Think Positive, Live Happy. And they're all generally very positive, uplifting, upbeat books. And all of the Chicken Soup books, regardless of the theme, tend to be that way. Some of them are bittersweet. Some of them can be sad, can be tear jerkers, but all of them are uplifting. So I guess in the sense that the general message is uplifting, despite some bittersweet and maybe some tragic things, they're tied together, but it's a very loose thread.
Loose is still a thread.
Loose is still a thread.
Sometimes that loose thread is all that holds our sanity together. So,
true.
Yeah, it works. Now, something that you said before we started recording that you wouldn't mind talking about, and I would love to pick your brain on this, is you are currently querying a manuscript.
Yes.
And without telling us about the manuscript itself, unless you want to, how's that process working for you? I know there are a lot of authors out there who struggle with querying the letter, finding the right, publishers to submit to or the right agents to submit to. How are you approaching it?
So I will say, and I think that many authors would probably echo this sentiment. I think that writing a one-page query letter is far more challenging than writing an 80 or 1,000 word manuscript. It's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, I've attended so many workshops on how to do it and so many conferences on how to do it and so many things, instructional things and templates and all these things. And querying's hard because you are trying to really sell your manuscript and you have like a page to do it. And it's kind of like, you want to just be like, can you just read it? It's good. It just sells itself, right? Like, just read my manuscript. But of course, agents and small presses, they don't have time for that because they have dozens and dozens and hundreds of authors knocking down their doors, wanting them to represent them and publish their work. And so they only have time for a page query. If you're lucky, they might only read a paragraph of it or skim it, if that.
Yeah.
And so you really don't have that much space to make your manuscript sound as good as you think it is. And so it's a very frustrating, challenging process. You're trying to distill 100,000 words into a page effectively and efficiently. And it's hard. And then you put it out in the world. Hopefully the agents that you're querying want sample pages, because then maybe they'll look at those. And if your query's not fabulous, maybe your sample pages will hook them. And then it's a waiting game from there. And how I approached it was I researched a lot of agents and small presses that, you kind of start from scratch. I used Query Tracker, and I used small presses that appealed to me for various reasons. There are a few that I really, really like that I knew from previous interactions that I had with An Expected End, shopping An Expected End around. One in particular I'm very interested in, a small press that I really, really like. But I targeted those for reasons like, they're working in the genre that the manuscript is in, or their manuscript wish list mentions that they're interested in the type of story that it is, or they're looking for the type of character I've written, or things like that, or something about the agent or small press's tone or personality or background resonates with me on a personal level. And so I want to work with them. And I have a spreadsheet of people and presses that I am interested in. And I did small batches, of people or small presses, and keep track of the date and what I sent them and when I sent it and what their response time is. And, it's a system like that.
And two questions that popped in my mind. One, is Query Tracker allowing you to keep track of all those details for you in a nice organized fashion of when it was time for what their response time is?
Yeah, Query Tracker has its own kind of tracking system. And then I also use my own, because not all agents and not all small presses use Query Tracker. So if they're not using Query Tracker, then obviously it wouldn't be part of Query Tracker's tracking system.
Yes.
So.
And you mentioned, I love when my mind does this to me. Manuscript wish list. I was like, the M word.
Yes.
I've looked at it before. I kind of fell in with my publisher, so I was lucky to only receive like a short amount of rejections before I met them. Mm-hmm. Are you finding luck with manuscript wish lists and stuff like that, or is it kind of blown up to be more than it is?
I did have one agent who, after I queried them, did respond back to me and request a partial manuscript and a synopsis, which I was very excited about. Ultimately, they did not move forward with me, but I felt like that was a huge step in the right direction. Otherwise, I've either gotten some form rejections, a couple personalized rejections, which I count as small wins, or just no responses, which unfortunately is pretty typical from what I hear from other writers. I mean, getting an agent from cold querying is kind of like winning the lottery. I mean, I think you might be more likely to win the lottery. Actually.
I know, because I do remember when my first book was, I was shopping it around and stuff, and it was a mess. It wasn't ready to be shopped, and I wish I had someone tell me that. because obviously, if you've been published, you've passed this level, but there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, the publisher is going to edit the manuscript, so why do I need to do it? And I tell them, you have to put your best foot forward. You have to, but I wish I had had the experience I have now back then, or someone, you know what I'm saying, with my experience telling me all these things. There probably wasn't. I probably ignored them.
You've blocked that part out.
Yeah, no, I've forgotten that part. Just like what teas I don't like. Yeah. And listen to them and stuff like that, because it could have, gone differently. And I'm not saying better, because I like my publisher. I'm not angry at them or anything. But no, it's querying sucks.
It does.
Just to sum it up in a nice,
writing the book is so much fun, but getting it published is not that much fun. Having it published is a lot of fun, but getting there is a whole nother thing.
Oh, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. The publisher who published An Expected End. Mm-hmm. Where'd you find them?
So they were a small press that I found. I can't actually remember how I found them. I think I found them through Poets and Writers, maybe through the Poets and Writers website, because you can go on there. They kind of have like a database, Poets and Writers, and you can look for agents there. You can look for small presses there, traditional or hybrid or anything that you want. And I was specifically at that time looking for small presses that were local to Virginia, because I knew I wanted a small press that I could actually meet with the people. I wanted it to be a very personalized experience. I knew I wanted to be traditionally published. And so I liked them because they were in Virginia Beach, and I'm in Richmond, and that's only a couple of hours away. And they were female owned, which I also really liked. I wanted to support a female owned small business, and they were traditionally publishing. It wasn't hybrid. It wasn't like a this is kind of an old fashioned, outdated term, but like a vanity press.
Oh no, they're still around.
Oh, I know they're still around, but I don't know if they're still like called that. If there's like a more, I don't know, like a newer term. But this was like I know. This was like a legitimate, traditional small press. So they kind of checked all my boxes that I was looking for. I got a lot of personalized attention from them. My book got a lot of personalized attention from them. And so I liked all of that.
Is that one of the dogs? Oh,
yes. This is, I think he has some hair in his mouth, but this is Nacho.
What breed is he?
So he and his sister, who is downstairs, are rescues, but we did do a DNA test, and they are half Chihuahua, quarter Shih Tzu, quarter miniature poodle.
That is quite the mix.
Yes.
That is cool, because he was fluffy. He looked like a Chihuahua, but I was like, that guy is fluffy for a Chihuahua.
I think that's probably from the Shih Tzu, but I mean, for all we know, the parents could have been long hair. Although Soda, she might come up later. I don't know. She has a much shorter coat than Nacho. So
interesting, but same litter.
Same litter. They came into their county shelter together, and then the Richmond SPCA got them together, and then we adopted them together. So.
Now, I don't know if dogs are the same as cats in this way, but a litter of cats can actually have two different fathers.
They are, yes, they are the same as cats in that way.
Which is,
but although with the DNA being so similar, I think they probably had the same father. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, I have litter mates as well. Cats, same father as well, we think. Because the mom was also part Maine Coon, and they're both about the same size, but he's striped and she's black.
Oh, what are their names?
Anyanka and Barney.
Anyanka and Barney. That's a very exotic name and a very not exotic name.
Anyanka from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
And Barney from How I Met Your Mother.
Okay, so they're both television allusion.
Yes.
I can appreciate that.
Almost every name we come up with for like gaming or whatever we do is either going to be a television, movie, or book reference.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just the easiest way to do it. just living things, just name them after someone you already know. But you also have, and I'm very upset I have not seen it yet, a parrot.
Yes, I'm actually surprised that he hasn't come up here. I don't know. I wonder what he's doing downstairs. I have a camera on him. I could check on my phone and see what he's up to, but he's very quiet right now, so he might be resting. But
Yeah.
yes, we do. We have a 25-year-old adopted Quaker parrot named
Quaker.
Archie. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know parrots had religions.
Yeah, surprise.
What is a Quaker parrot? What is a Quaker?
So they're called Quakers because they, when they're little babies, they quake. They like shake. And he still does it. They still do it as adults. They just don't do it as much. So he'll like kind of like quake his head like this. And so that's why they're called Quakers. They're also sometimes, I don't know why this is one of their names, but they're also sometimes called monk parrots. So a monk parrot and a Quaker parrot is the same type of parrot, and they come in different colors. Some are yellow, some are green. There's white ones. Our Quaker Archie, who I'm checking on the camera right now, and yeah, he's resting. He's not asleep. His eyes are open, but he's on his like sleepy perch. He's green. He's a very vibrant, like a kiwi colored green.
For the people with inquiring minds, is he the parrot that was like the picture of one of your entries on your Substack?
I don't know.
You don't remember? There was a green parrot that was
on my Substack. Yeah. So like on my Substack, at the end of every newsletter, I put pictures of Archie and the littles. Nacho and Soda are little dogs. We call them the littles. At the end of every newsletter, there's pictures of Archie and the littles, and that is Archie.
Okay.
The parrot in those pictures, that is Archie. Mm-hmm.
And Archie has some special talents, from what I've been told.
Oh, Archie is incredibly smart. Yes, we do parrot kindergarten every day. We do something. So Archie knows the alphabet. Archie can do subtraction and addition. Archie can do some sight words. He can talk. He can recognize weather conditions. He's like a kindergartner. He's very intelligent. I have flashcards for him, and he knows animals, some different animals.
That is wonderful. I love birds. I could never live with one, from what my wife tells me, and having stayed at my in-laws where they have birds, and 2 nights was enough. They're loud. Oh yeah,
they can reach some crazy decibels. Archie can be. We can hear him if he does this thing. We call it drama llama. We just call it that. He's not saying anything. It's a special noise he makes. But if he wants our attention and calling our names has failed to get it, he gets on. He has a swing in his cage, and he'll get on his swing, and he'll grab the chain with one claw, and he'll grab the swing with the other, and he makes this crazy noise that if you're out in the backyard, you can hear it. And it basically means get your ass over here or else.
But he can say your name.
He can say my name, yeah. It kind of sounds like Amanda.
That is creepy. Like, birds weird me out in the fact that they can talk so much like us.
Oh yeah, right? He can. It's pretty incredible. He mimics a coughing sound, a sneezing sound. We had our friend over visiting him the other day while I was out of town, and my husband was at work, and he texted us a video of Archie coughing, and he was like, I can't believe how much he sounds like a person. He sounds like a person sitting there coughing.
Does he play jokes?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Actually, the same friend, he called him over to his enclosure we had him over for dinner, and he said, come here. And our friend went and sat down next to him, and he came down and bit him, and then he laughed. So he does. Or like he'll give me little kisses, but then he'll pinch my nose and he'll laugh because he knows that, pinching my nose is not nice like a kiss. So he does. He definitely has a sense of humor.
Birds, are very, again, having never owned them and only hearing stories, birds have a very particular sense of humor where they like to play pranks, almost like they're
pranks. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He'll do it to my husband too. He'll like hold up his foot like he's going to step out, and then he'll bite him, and then he'll chuckle. Like he's very mischievous.
And he's a rescue as well.
He is. Yeah. Yep. Somebody that my mother-in-law knew needed to rehome him a couple years ago. So he's 25 years old, but we've had him for about 2.5 years.
Okay. And he's adapted okay to changed and everything. I'm assuming
He has, yeah. I was actually praising his resilience the other day to him. I was telling him.
Oh, you're stroking his ego.
Yes, that's what I do. That's why he loves me so much. I was telling him how proud I was of him because he has fully embraced. I mean, he's really good with our dogs, and they're really good with him, and yeah, it's pretty impressive. We weren't sure if, for all we knew, he would hate us and we would just feed him and make sure he stayed alive. But like he rides around on my shoulder all the time, and he usually participates in things like this. And I think since it's nighttime, he's just sleepy.
He was playing jokes all day, so now he's got to rest
exactly
up.
Well, and we already did parrot kindergarten, so we're trying to teach him to let us weigh him at home. And so I think he's tired from that adventure of the day. And
he won't like sit on a scale.
No, he's well, the first few times he did that was at the vet, and the vet is very scary. And so he sees it at home and he's like, that looks a little bit too much like the vet. So he's getting really pretty good at it, though. He lets me put it in his cage with him now, and he'll touch it with his beak. And then he'll say, good boy. But he won't stand on it yet. So we have made some good progress.
Now, you also are an outdoors enthusiast from what I've been told. And you do stand-up paddle boarding with your dogs.
Yes. Yeah, we do that in the warmer months. Mm-hmm.
And if I am a good swimmer, but surfing, paddleboarding is something I've never done. I know they're two different sports. I'm saying anything with a board I've never done. But it's when you're on the long board and you stand up and you got your little oar.
Yeah. Yep.
And you do it with the dogs. I am making a grand assumption that the dogs don't have their own boards and paddles and they're on the board with you.
That is a very wise assumption.
Okay.
Yes, they love the paddleboard. I put it in the water and they just jump right on, and they will lay down and they just look around like pros. I mean, sometimes they'll go to sleep. I think they just find it very relaxing. They enjoy it. But yeah, they have their own little life jackets. They have little vests that they wear, little life vests and little sun shirts with SPF in them. And yeah, they hang out.
Is Archie allowed to go outdoors?
Yes, actually, we have a bubble backpack for him. That's like an enclosed, ventilated backpack. And up until last summer, he would take walks with us if it wasn't too hot or cold when we would take the dogs for walks. He's been to state parks and trails, but he did have a traumatic event at his vet last summer. So right now he is afraid to leave the house, which is something we are working on.
Poor
I know.
Yeah.
He'll come out of his cage. He'll walk around the house with us and stuff, and he'll look out the window, but he's afraid to go outside right now, which is very sad because he used to sit on the deck with us all the time and he used to take walks with the dogs all the time. But I think right now he thinks leaving the house means going to the vet, and he is not willing to do that at the moment.
Yeah, no, I understand. But much like me and my wife, we don't like to leave the house either unless we have to.
I don't always like to either unless I'm doing something fun outside.
Exactly.
So I get that.
Oh. I thought you had another dog.
No, Nacho got down and started grumbling at me. So I thought he wanted water.
So the book you're querying, can you tell us what it's about or no?
Yeah. Yep. It's called The Good Curse. And it is, so An Expected End is speculative fiction that takes place in the future. The Good Curse is historical fiction that takes place in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692 during the Salem witch trials. And it follows the story of Sarah Good, who was one of the first women accused of and executed for witchcraft during the Salem witch trials. I am a high school English teacher by day. I've been teaching the Crucible for about 20 years. And that is kind of the impetus for this book. And so largely it's based on historical fact. A lot of it's fictionalized to make the plot work. I had to imagine character dynamics and relationship dynamics, and I had to fictionalize some things. But the big plot points, most of the big plot points, are all historically accurate. So from a plot perspective, much of the story wrote itself. But there were things that I had to obviously imagine to make it come together. And it was fascinating to research, and it was a lot of fun to write.
I love The Crucible, by the way, and I know that a lot of people don't because it was required high school reading. And well, people always ask authors, what made you want to be a writer? And I make up stuff about Stephen King and whatever. It was actually The Crucible.
Really?
Yes. It was sophomore year of freshman year, whatever. It was sometime in high school. This is 35.
You just named 3 of the 4 years in high school.
Yeah, it wasn't senior year. I know that much. I'm trying to think of like who I had each of the 4 years.
It was probably your junior year, more than likely.
It was one of the years. And I just remember reading the book, and the whole high school is a very interesting time for a lot of people. And I was not special in this way, but it's a time you explore yourself, you find out, you challenge your beliefs, you challenge what you were raised to, know and everything like that. And I had issues with the church I was raised in, and I was kind of leaving, the faith, so to speak. But it was hard because your, parents are just like, don't leave, don't abandon. And when you're raised in a church, it's all either heaven or hell, good or evil. And if you're not in the church, you're evil type stuff. And that book, especially the line when he goes, cleave to no faith when faith brings blood, which of course, then I had to research the definition of the word cleave because it's got the 2 opposite meanings. And you're like, I don't understand it. It was kind of like, this is a perfect summary of why I'm leaving the church, was just that one line. And the book itself, the allegory behind it, that was the word I was looking for before, by the way, before we were recording. Yeah. The allegory of the book and just everything. It was such a great book. And to be able to teach it, I hope that you have at least one student who appreciated it the way I did.
Oh, they usually love it. I mean, my students typically get so into The Crucible. It's so much fun to teach. I really like teaching The Crucible. We were talking about, yay, Archie. Hi, baby Burb. Yeah, come here. Step up.
We're going to take a momentary break as we now talk about a bird.
The guest of honor.
Is he not? Is Archie not going to make an appearance on camera?
Come here. He's just having trouble transitioning.
Oh no, that's okay. So for everyone listening right now, if you're not watching with the audio,
you'll have to come closer to me.
There is a bird who will not make an appearance on camera. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're as disappointed as I am right now because there he is. Yes. Hello, Archie.
Here's Archie. Here you go.
Hello.
Mr. Burby.
He's shunning me.
Mr.
There he is.
I think he's afraid of my light. I'm going to turn it off. I don't usually have it.
Oh.
There you go.
Hello.
There you go.
Who's the good boy?
There's Archie. Yeah. Thank you.
Very talkative.
Yeah.
Making us chirps.
Thank you.
Oh, and he's beautiful. He is beautiful.
Thank you. He's a good birdie.
Now, I almost don't want to go back to The Crucible. What is the life expectancy of monk parrots?
So in captivity, the average life expectancy is 30 years.
Oh.
So is
not cool.
He's my senior baby.
Because I know some, like the African grays, have to be like willed away because they live longer than humans. Yeah.
Yeah, they can live a long time, and the macaws can live a really long time. I mean, average is 30, right? So they can live longer. But yeah, he's in his golden years, right, Burby? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like,
Yeah. He's like, yes, I'm happy. Oh. Did you mean to drop that? Huh? Yeah, you're done with that? Okay. Good Burby.
But back to The Crucible. I'm so excited. The bird's here.
I know. I was too.
But yeah, as we have a momentary break from anything important,
You just laughed.
Back to The Crucible. The kids are enjoying it nowadays.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think when I first started teaching, maybe not so much, but I also didn't know what I was doing when I first started teaching. You know, you got to kind of like figure that out first.
Yeah, well, you got to get your feet wet. Yeah.
Yeah. But now I mean, I haven't had a group that didn't like it for a really long time. They tend to typically enjoy it. They get really into it. And of course, I stop them a lot and make sure they understand what's going on, and, make sure they understand the euphemisms and what's happening. And, when they start to realize, like, oh, there's sex in this, and they're like, oh, this is scandalous, and then they enjoy it.
Well, that's the other thing too, is high schoolers, no matter how uninnocent, society gets, high schoolers are always high schoolers.
Yep.
They're always going to have that, oh, we're allowed to talk about these things now. Because I remember one of my teachers swore occasionally in class, and it wasn't anything. He wasn't dropping F-bombs or anything. He did once or twice at me. I was not the best student. I mean, I was good. I was A's and B's, but I was that kid.
Right.
But he, dropped the occasional like ass or shit, and the student, oh my God, you can't say that. But we were growing into adults.
Right.
They were just helping us adjust to the world beyond high school. And so to be able to read about something like The Crucible, where it has some sex in it and, people die under the weight of rocks. Sorry, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read it. It's a very different book than stuff they teach, before that and stuff like that. So,
right.
I loved it. I just thought it was a great book. So thank you for bringing it up. But your book, The Good Curse, about the Salem Witch, did The Crucible have the book, The Crucible, inspire The Good Curse in any way, or is it just?
Yeah. So Sarah Good is a very minor character in The Crucible. And in The Crucible, she's like 60 some years old and she's pregnant and she confesses. And so she gets to live, which is actually not accurate. Sarah Good's actually portrayed pretty inaccurately in a lot of pop culture and fictionalized stuff related to the Salem witch trials. Really, Sarah Good was in her late 30s, and she did not confess to witchcraft. She refused to confess to the very, very end. In fact, when she was on the gallows, they offered her another chance to confess. And legend has it that she said something like, I am no more witch than you are wizard. And if you hang me, I have that a little wrong, but basically, if you hang me, God will give you blood to drink. And then the man she said that to, which was a Reverend Noyce, when he died, he was coughing up blood, which was like decades later. Yeah. And so she held her ground and refused to confess and was actually hanged, which is not how it goes down in The Crucible. But what really got me was, recently, I guess it was a couple years ago, we were doing background information on the historical figures in The Crucible. And we were also talking about McCarthyism and the Red Scare and how the play is an allegory and all those things. And I had found a YouTube video about the women who were first accused. And it talked just very briefly about Sarah Good and how she was really in her 30s and how she was pregnant. And how her daughter, Dorothy Good, who was 4 years old, was also accused of witchcraft, the youngest accused witch. And her husband, William Good, testified against her in court. And I just thought, good God, that's a story right there by itself. Like, this poor woman, she has this daughter who gets accused. Her husband testifies against her. She's pregnant. And I was just kind of like made a mental note, like, learn more about that. That's kind of a crazy thing right there by itself. And so I did. I kind of started researching it and looking into it and listening to podcasts. And the more I learned about her, the more fascinated I was. And then I took a writing workshop with actually the same mentor under whom I wrote Unexpected End. And I thought I was going to write a novel from Reverend Hale's perspective, kind of this like going into the wilderness, thinking you're the savior and coming back and realizing all the mistakes you made and how that affected his psyche. That's what I went in thinking I was going to write. But our first assignment in this work, oh my goodness. Yeah, I know you were there when I wrote it. The first assignment was to write some log lines. And so I was like, oh, I'll write a log line for Sarah Good. I mean, I wrote the one for Reverend Hale too, but I also wrote one for Sarah Good, and everybody in the workshop was like, that's the book you need to write. And so I did.
Well, sometimes it's nice to have that direction pointed out to you by many other people going, that one.
Yeah, exactly. And they were right. I mean, I had so much fun writing it. And I mean, people who would start asking me about it, I was like, are you sure you want to get me started on this? Because like, I'm going to have you here a while. Like, I can talk about this for a while.
Right? Is that his laugh?
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
I know. He sounds just like a person.
If I heard that in the middle of the night, I think I might cry.
No, he has several laughs. That's one of them. He also has like a like an old man chuckle, but he has like a witch's cackle too, and that one's really funny.
Oh my God, he is hysterical. He is hysterical. Everybody who's listening to this on any of the podcast channels that don't have video, you have to check it out on YouTube. This bird is a crack up.
Yeah, he's a character.
So give me all the shameless self-promotion that you have, where we can find your books, where we can find you on social medias, your websites, everything like that. That isn't gonna, where you want us to find you, not where you don't want us to find you.
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram. It's just, my handle's just Amanda Sue Creasy. So you can find me on Instagram. There's lots of pictures of my dogs and Archie there. So if you want to see more of them, you can find us there. I also have a Substack. It's called All in Good Time. And I post there it's called All in Good Time because I post there whenever I want to. Sometimes a month goes by, sometimes a couple days go by. So I just post there as the mood strikes. Okay, do you need more water? I also have a website that's just amandasuecreasy.com. So you can find me on my website. I also write the Explore More column for Cooperative Living Magazine. We talked about my outdoors stuff. So I am an outdoors writer and my outdoors column is there. So that's just co-op.com and then the Explore More column there. So that's kind of where you can find me. My website, my Instagram, my Substack, and the magazine.
And where can we buy An Expected End?
Oh, yes. An Expected End is available on barnesandnoble.com. It's available on amazon.com. It's available on bookshop.org. And you can also have your local independent bookstore order it if you want to patronize your independent bookstore, which I highly recommend and support doing.
Thank you so much. And one last thing that I ask of everyone on the show, if you had one piece of advice to give an aspiring writer, what would that be?
To write and to write yourself. I think in the face of generative AI right now, it's so important to make sure that you keep your creative juices flowing and that you keep flexing that muscle for yourself. Just make sure that you don't let your own creativity pale, that you make sure you keep using your creativity and that you keep flexing that muscle and stay creative. Don't let something create for you. He wants to get in my water glass. That's what
I know. Happening. I see that. He is making a nice transition there.
He wants to take a bath.
But you're basically don't substitute your creativity for AI's creativity.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Keep writing by yourself, for yourself, because you love it. And don't forget that you love it and you love that act of creating. And that's why you're doing it. It's not for money. It's not for glory. It's because it is fulfilling and rewarding in and of itself, the act of creating.
I like that. And I think that is a perfect ending to what we have going on. I have had a blast chatting with you and meeting your animals. I hope you've had some fun too.
I have.
Thank you. I want to thank you again for being here. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in to watch, to listen. Follow us on all the channels. Follow her on all her channels. Follow me. We're all just people whoring ourselves out for some likes on social media, so just follow us, like us, share us, tell everyone about us. Pick up her book, An Expected End, barnesandnobles.com, Amazon, or bookshop.org, and keep a lookout because The Good Curse will be out eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Someday.
Eventually.
We're in the
And
process.
it's in the aether right now, but it will be there.
That's right.
And until next time, remember, it costs nothing to be kind. Be good.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.